Hey everybody, this is Seth from Coming Out Tarot, and this is another edition of Tarot Every Day. How can you look for tarot in your everyday life? And we talked a lot about different ways that you can work with the tarot, either card draws or looking at numerology was the most recent one. Today I want to talk about how the majors and the minors differ. Basic stuff. And by basic, I mean these are not like elaborate insights into how the majors and minors work. I just want to talk a little bit about how you might see them in your everyday. So as you're doing tarot readings for others, or you might be doing tarot readings for yourself, when you lay out your cards, either in a spread or in just multiple cards, and you're reading what the story is, however you like to read, when majors come up, they can mean different things than if you happen to see a minor, a court card, or an ace, for example. So I'm going to work my way up from the bottom real quick. We'll work from aces through minors, through courts to majors. When aces show up, often there's something new that's being presented, being brought into your life, being shared with you, something that is at the very beginning stage, or just turning, the wheel is turning from, as if we were talking about numbers last time, from 10, numerologically you can take 1 and 0 of the 10, add them together and you get 1. So that end of stage might be moving into something new, or you're just truly being presented with something new that you need to be aware of. This could also just be just a great starting energy. When you move into the minors from the aces, now you're in some day-to-day activity. For some people, this may even express weekly, but not lengthy timing. So the minors are things that happen in our day-to-day lives. So for example, the 8 of stones or 8 of discs, if you're looking at a Rider-Waite, the Rider-Waite shows a man working steadily. He's got something that he's learned how to do, and he's on the way to the mastery of. So he may be more than an apprentice. He may actually be a journeyman, for example. If you're familiar with some union terminology, the journeyman is getting something done, but he's getting it done in his day-to-day. He hasn't quite mastered it, so he hasn't moved into that, some of the levels of the court that we're going to talk about in a second. But the person may have actually gone to work that day. It may be representative of you that you are doing some work, whether it be around your mental health, your physical health, or your profession, since we're talking about pentacles, for example. So the minors tend to be those day-to-day activities that express themselves through events that occur in our lives as commonplace or mundane. Sometimes these cards may show something a little more exciting, but often it's in the day-to-day of our lives. And when we reach into the courts, we're seeing a lot of different opportunities. They can be representative of certainly of people, places, or things. And in our day-to-day, the best way to start to get to know the court cards, or experience the court cards, or experience the people around you, is to recognize how these show themselves in the personalities or the traits or the experiences of other people, or the locations that you might find other people in. Because sometimes when this shows up in a location, spot, and a spread, it gets really confusing because we're looking at people, and what does that have to do with a place? Well, you can start to associate places with court cards if you're a little clever about how you associate the court card. Benabel Wen just did something interesting. She put out some ideas about Court de Geblin. I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong. So if you go to Benabel Wen's site, she's got some great thoughts on how each card has been representative of a place. It's not a perfect system because it's a system that came up by somebody who didn't quite understand the entirety of the world in the way that we do today. So there's some openness for interpretation, and certainly a way to make your own system. So I would encourage everybody to check that out. Now we've moved into the majors, and the majors are usually representative of some sort of life lesson, some sort of big event, some sort of broad overarching change in who we are, what our soul's journey is, what our spiritual nature or a spiritual journey might be. These are the life lessons that we're learning that can change how we see, how we view, how we interact with the world around us. So it is a greater experience than the day-to-day of the minor. However, this doesn't have to exclude itself from the day-to-day. It just may be that the day-to-day event that's occurring is helping you to better understand the life lesson that you're going through. So for the devil, for example, something real simple, a devil can often get associated with drug addiction. So in the day-to-day of being focused on drug addiction, we're learning a greater life lesson about what it means to have an addictive personality, for example. So this could have some resonance in day-to-day, or it could have that greater story of addiction versus addictive personality versus the addictive substance that's going on a day-to-day basis. Anyway, there's 4 different pieces of the tarot. I had promised you 2, but we got a little more in depth, and I do hope you'll check out that Benabel Wynn resource. She is a resource I go to often because her depth of understanding and researching some of the arcaneness of our major and minor arcana is always fascinating to me, what she finds and the interpretations she adds. So I would check out more about her. Thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoy this little installment of Tarot Every Day.